Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of Beneath the Helmet. My name is Arjuna George, owner of Silver Arrow Coaching and Consulting, Teary Fire, and author of Burnt Around the Edges, a guide to mastering stress and surviving burnout, and also your host to this new podcast, Beneath the Helmet. I want to thank you for joining the BTH community. My hope is that we can provide support and value to our first responders from all aspects of being an elite firefighter, including the mind, the body, and the spirit. In this episode, this will be a solo episode where I fill you in on my vision, my story, and who I am as a host. As an executive coach and an advocate for firefighter wellness, I'm excited to share stories from leaders from all around the world in season 1 of Beneath the Helmet. My new career, second chapter in life, Silver Arrow, is my way of giving back to the fire service and other leaders worldwide through the power of coaching. I truly believe coaching has brought me to where I am today, has allowed me to excel, has allowed me to come out of burnout and once again thrive. So many of you know my story, but let's take a moment to share my personal experience with mental health challenges and the many lessons I learned over the last few years. I'm a retired fire chief with 24 years of service in BC, Canada. I love the fire service. I love the people we serve with. I love the technical challenges that we face each and every day. I love the interpersonal challenges that we face each and every day. I love to be of service. I have a real passion for the brave women and men who serve and volunteer in their communities, and to also those who call this a career. But unfortunately, the past few years have been a real challenge for me and my mental health. In 2020, I hit a wall with extreme organizational burnout. I was working around the clock for years, no rest, no self-care, and no time for number one. I had expectations of myself that were not sustainable and were causing serious nervous system dysregulation. Back on June 23rd, 2020, I took a leave from work to regain some sense of ease within. But after a year of serious self-reflection, physical and mental therapy, I decided it was time to hang up the coat, hang up the helmet, and retire early from the job I loved. Through being coached myself, I gained some serious clarity on what the future had in store for me. I got an opportunity to write my first book titled Burnt Around the Edges and launched my own business, Silver Arrow Coaching and Consulting. Silver Arrow has now expanded, including nervous system regulation tools called TRE, and now this podcast to extend our reach. My aim moving forward is to support our women and men in the fire service live the life they want and deserve, to master their own stress and prevent burnout from occurring. My burnout was a real challenge and took hard work to regain my sense of self and to thrive once again. My book, Burnt Around the Edges, is an easy to read guide for anyone to read to gain some insight into how we as humans react to stress, and also provides many tools on how to recover and once again thrive. The book can be found online at Amazon, Apple, and Google, and also directly from my business at burntaroundtheedges.com. The feedback from the book has been overwhelming and has already made significant impact to many readers. As we venture into season 1 with an amazing lineup of guests, I hope this podcast provides you value and tools to help yourself and those you love. If you want to support this podcast and extend the reach worldwide, please subscribe to the podcast on all major platforms and share the content with those you love. Your support is greatly appreciated. Until next time, stay well.